Hey, Jared, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Valerie, thanks for having me on. Excited to talk.
I'm super excited because I love LinkedIn, and anybody who knows me, whether it's like my team or my clients, they know that they're going to get like a LinkedIn spiel from me anytime we meet. So to have someone who actually does LinkedIn and is excited about LinkedIn as I am is really exciting to me. So can you tell, for anybody who doesn't know you, can you tell a little bit about your company and what you guys are doing?
Yes. So my company is Outworks. I co-founded Outworks with two other guys that I used to work with in a previous life. Outworks is a marketing agency that focuses on executive support on LinkedIn. So we work with founders and executives that know that they should be more active on LinkedIn, creating content, meeting their buyers where they are, but for whatever reason, just don't have the time or the resources, or honestly, they just are uncomfortable. Like social media to them is outside comfort zone, and they've kept it at an arm's length for a certain amount of time, but they're starting to understand that in 2024, it's a content that they need to be, engaging on, creating on, and really step out from behind the kind of the business and put themselves out there more. So we help them grow their network on LinkedIn and then create content to meet their network on LinkedIn. And then we also do LinkedIn ads, retargeting, and thought leadership ads.
I love that. I love that because I love LinkedIn. I post every single day. That's my goal. I've been doing it for probably about a year and a half now. My business took off when I started doing that. So when I tell my clients, like, just post on LinkedIn, they're like, oh, I can't. That's so hard. I'm like, it's not hard. You just write what you're thinking about. So I like that you make it so easy for them. Okay. I'm going to ask you LinkedIn later. I'm going to grill you more on that. But a few questions is, how did you start Outworks with two other co-founders? Like, what was that like? I don't hear three co-founders very often, so I'm curious what that was like and how it works.
Yeah, so I was at the point in my career where I was ready to make a move and do something on my own. I don't know how familiar you are with the EO community, but the company I was with, it's Entrepreneurs Organization. The company I was with previous to this, we were a sponsor of EO, and it allowed me to really surround myself with other entrepreneurs, right? People that have built successful businesses. And to qualify for EO, you have to have a business that generates north of $1 million a year in revenue. So it was a lot of really successful entrepreneurs that I was building these friendships with over the last 3 years or so. So I knew that whatever happened next in my career, like, it was going to be me starting a business, and opportunity, like, stuff happened in the previous business, and it made sense for me to step out and do this. So I reached out to two guys that I used to work with, Brandon Passley and Kelly Ferran, I was the VP of sales at a company called Snap Mobile, and it was one of Brandon's companies. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'm looking to go off and do my own thing. Brandon and I were just talking, whatever. And he's like, Kelly and I are actually in the spot now where we're looking to start something new around the growth marketing play, right? Let's do something. And we were all on the same page, understanding and knowing that there was an opportunity on LinkedIn, but we weren't 100% sure on what it was or what we wanted to do. So we just said, well, screw it. Let's set something up right now and just start working with founders and executives around email strategy, whatever. So we started as an email lead gen company where we were, it's probably the stuff that you get 1 million emails on a day now, right? Where it was just like, Jared, I've got a network. So let's see if there's anybody within my network. We can just get going and get the motions going on this, right? Let's start the business. We know that it's not going to be this in a few months from now, but let's at least get started, understand what our clients are looking for, what the market is calling for. And that's what we did. We started as email. We set up a bunch of different domains. We helped write the copy to the messages. We set up the sequences, all that fun stuff that sales enablement people understand and growth marketers understand very well. And then we layered in some LinkedIn into it, some LinkedIn outreach as well. We used a tool called Limlist for that. And it was going good, but what really allowed us to take off was the idea that we were building these networks for people on LinkedIn. Like we kind of pivoted away a little bit of email and we're focusing on the LinkedIn outreach, but not to sell. We were just focused more on starting conversations, providing value in the actual interactions and the messaging, have a reason to message. And everybody that we were talking to was like, this is great. I just don't have the time though for content. I know you guys say to create content because most people aren't ready to talk today, but they're just like, I don't have time to create the content. Right. So we were connecting them with people that were ready to talk today, which is like 2%, not a lot of people, but they were doing nothing to meet the other 97, 98% on LinkedIn, like with no content. So we started to create content for them. We saw that start to take off, them to start get more conversations and really, more impressions, grow their network. And they were doing a little bit of the engagement too. So more and more people started telling us that, and we're just like, okay, let's start doing content. Like, let's continue with some of the automations around growth on like grow their network, but not with messages. Just grow the network, max out the connection requests, create content, then short form video, a lot of the stuff that you do. Like you're really good at it. Short form video, text based content, text plus image, graphic based content. And that's really where we are today. And it's helped us take off. And then on top of that, you pour gasoline on with the boosting of the ads, the thought leadership stuff, the retargeting stuff. It's just a perfect recipe, I guess, if you're going to do this stuff on LinkedIn and you don't have the time or resources to do it, and you have all these thoughts in your head, like let us just pull those thoughts out of your head in a 60-minute interview each month, and then we'll chop up that content for you. That's a lot. That's a long answer to a short question.
No, that's super helpful. And it makes so much sense to me. Question I have for you is, when a CEO or a founder is telling you what they want to post on LinkedIn, how does that work where you're actually helping post for them, but it still feels like authentic to them? How does that process work?
That's a good question, because that was one of the things that when we went into this is like, if we're going to be posting and writing content or helping our clients create this content, it has to be in their voice. Like we don't want like, somebody that we post or create content for to post it, and then their buddy reach out to them and be like, who wrote that for you? Like, or who did that? That is definitely not you, right?
That's embarrassing.
So, yeah. Or it's like, oh yeah, we pay somebody to do that. So what we are doing is we're doing 60-minute interviews with our clients each month. Okay. And that's the only time they have to spend on it, right? So we come to the table with questions ahead of time. We'll send over to them. And these questions are meant to be top, middle, bottom of funnel questions. And they look at those questions and they'll say, these are perfect, or add something in about this or about this. We use Notion is our project management system. So they can go into Notion at any point if they read something or something's top of mind, and they can add a topic that they want to talk about in Notion, and we'll craft questions around that. So we'll ask them these questions. Let's call it 12 questions each month. Cool. And then they'll give us the answer, very casual conversation. And it's meant to mimic a podcast. It's very similar to this, right? Yeah. And then we'll get, 5, 6 short form, 30 to 90-second video clips from it. We can edit that up. We'll accompany it with text-based posts, or we get, 4 text plus image graphic-based posts. Kelly is one of my co-founders, is a UX UI designer. So his background is in design. So he can put together some cool graphics, eye-catching graphics for the post as well. Yeah. And then we put them into Notion. We write them. We put them into Notion. We edit the video. We say, hey, check out Notion. The posts are done for this month. We go back and forth. These are great. This is great. This is great. I would edit to this one or whatever it is. And we're off. And some of our clients have us post on their behalf. Like we have a calendar that we'll show them. And then some of them say, like, you give me the calendar, you tell me when to post, I'll post it on my own. So we're doing all that. So it is their thoughts, right? It is coming from them. It's just, the formatting is LinkedIn algorithm friendly. Like we know what hits, what you're not supposed to do on LinkedIn. So it's not like we're making stuff up and them just saying like, here's an article that I read one time a few years ago, like make me a post about it. It's actually them talking about certain things.
I think that makes so much sense, because the people I try to push on LinkedIn that say they have nothing to say, I'm like, if we just would have recorded what you just said now, it would have been perfect. But it's very daunting for them.
That's the funniest stuff.
Yeah, it's gold when you hear them talk. And so I get what you're saying. And then you know the algorithm and you know how to do it like the right way. That makes sense. I have a personal question for you. So I don't love doing 1-minute videos. I am way too wordy. I love writing a long post, but I know that the algorithm isn't as good for that. So do you think I should switch over and start doing more 1-minute clips? Does it really make a big difference?
I would always say, don't try to do or be something that you're not, right? Because the cool thing about it is what you think is wordy is 2 or 3 posts, right? If you think about it, if you go back and listen to it, and you could literally say like, I know that in my mind, I talked about the same thing for 2 or 3 minutes. But then if you think about it and you listen back to it and you put yourself in the seat of your audience, it's probably 2 or 3 posts that you could edit together and say like, oh, the first 30 seconds of this was perfect for one post. And then the next 60, whatever it ends up being. I would be you. I know people say like, oh, 3-minute posts are way too long, like video on LinkedIn, like whatever. Like if you've got solid thought for 3 minutes, then put your solid thoughts for 3 minutes down and put some posts along with it. I mean, that's ideally it's short form, but but you do podcasts, right? So I do this thing called Too Lazy for a Podcast, like thing that I just accidentally started that you're going to be on, I think next week or this week. And it's just me and you having a conversation, and then I go and chop that stuff up. But like for the podcast, like it's more of a tease. Like you're putting together a tease for some of this, right? But when you're just doing the one-on-ones, like you posted this morning, and it was, I think, you going to an Ethiopian restaurant.
I did, yeah.
In where were we at? Columbus?
Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. Wow. Thanks for having me on
Columbus.
LinkedIn.
See, I read your content. I consume your content. But that was a perfect length of a video. I mean, I think it's good. I think that if the topic's good and if you're posting good content that can help people, they'll listen to it.
Got it. I love that. Other question for you is, do you think LinkedIn is ever gonna go away? I mean, like when I look at, let's say, Facebook, I hate Facebook now. I'm never on Facebook. I know a lot of people obviously are, but do you think that will ever happen with LinkedIn? And do you think there will be like another more business platform that will come up? Or do you think LinkedIn's really here to stay?
So I think that it's here to stay. That's one. I mean, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think that it's going to try new things and new iterations of LinkedIn. I myself, I try to limit myself on LinkedIn because I don't want LinkedIn to turn into Facebook for me, where it's like, this annoys the hell out of me every time I go on this. There's certain people that I follow that like, I follow them for a reason, but I get annoyed when they post, and it's just like, like, and where I've gone to start unfollowing certain people. And I'm sure people have done that to me too, which is great. That's fine. I just hope that LinkedIn doesn't become too loud and too over saturated with AI BS. I think there's a lot of AI BS that's out there right now that you can tell like, oh, this is garbage. Like you can just tell it's AI written. And that's what I hope it doesn't. Like I use AI to ideate on stuff. I'll write a post, and if I'm like, I don't like this line right here. Like I wish there was a better way that I could write this line. I can go into ChatGPT and see if ChatGPT can help me rewrite this line in particular. So I think that it's fine to use it for that, but I just don't want it to become overly saturated. And then the whole, we've talked about the pitch slapping stuff in the past, where it's just like, if you're just going to use it as a selling platform, then maybe there's probably, hopefully another platform comes along that you can use it for. But I do think that there will be another B2B platform at some point that does come out. And I hope there is something that challenges us to keep LinkedIn on their toes, to make sure that LinkedIn is doing everything they can to, and listening to the people that love and use LinkedIn, rather than just doing, hacks and trying, like there's a video game now on the side of LinkedIn for some reason. Like, have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
Like if you go to your LinkedIn feed, there's like a little puzzle game or something on the side. It's just a waste. That's just a waste of space.
I did get an ad recently. I think it was like for Chanel or something. And I was like, no, this belongs on my Instagram feed. This is not like what I want to see when I go to LinkedIn. But despite that, LinkedIn continues to be the biggest way we get clients, the biggest way I just stay in touch with our clients and connect with them. So I'm still like a fan. So you're right. I hope it stays good. And I think it will. But, okay. One other thing I want to ask you is, before we started this recording, you knew that I had been on your website. Can you please share more about how you knew that? Because I didn't even honestly know that this was possible. Tell me about that.
Yes. And then we will talk offline on how to set this up. So we started doing, I've been following Adam Robinson, who was the founder of retention.com for some time. Adam started a new company called RB2B, where you basically set up an integration through Slack and LinkedIn and your website. Again, this is why I have a tech founder and I'm not the tech founder. But it tells you, and I don't think it tells you everybody that visits your site. I think it's like 30% of the people that come to your site.
Okay.
But you get a Slack notification of who came to your website and their LinkedIn profile, which is cool. Crazy. So we can see who's coming to our site. Yeah. So for me, like how I use that is then it's great because if you're talking to prospects that are going to your site, you can see like, okay, good. They're serious about it. They're at least going to our site. Or if somebody's ghosted you over a certain amount of time and you see that they're on their site, it's a great way to say, okay, I'm going to strike while the iron's hot and reach back out to them right now.
Super
Not say like, hey, I saw you on my site, but like, oh, that's timely. Right.
So people are probably going to get the coincidence. Like if you're posting for them on LinkedIn, you help your clients integrate with this, then they can see who's come, reach out to them again, a little bit more direct.
Yeah. Oh, okay. For sure. And I usually wait a few days and then I'll go follow somebody on LinkedIn that came to our site. And if they're posting content, I have a bell set up. If they're posting content, then I'll go and I'll start engaging with their content on LinkedIn. Cool. Right. So it's kind of like this perfect world scenario where like, oh, the stars are aligning. Like I was on your site and then now you're, commenting on my posts and all this stuff. I mean, I'm sure most people say, oh, there must have been a hack. He must have known I was on their site. Whatever. It's where we are as a society today. It's
a coincidence, and not realizing that there was like technology behind it. So that's that's super interesting. And that's one thing I really like. Every time I meet with you, I learn something new about LinkedIn, and I think I'm good at LinkedIn. And then when I meet you, I'm like, oh, there's a whole other level of tips and techniques that I want to learn how to use. Can you share like one of the
very good.
Oh,
everyday posting is tough. Like that is a lot. I don't do that every day. I commit to 3 times a week. If I can throw a 4th in there, great. But no, it's great. You're really good. I think you're probably one of the more active people in my network that I consistently am seeing your content every day. So keep it up. Good job.
I've learned to post whenever I feel very like energized about a topic. So I don't really pre-schedule. I don't know what I'm going to actually write the day of, but if I've had a meeting or a conversation or something that I just am like, oh, I have to share this. That's kind of how that's been my strategy, which isn't really much of a strategy, but somehow it seems to be working.
It works.
Yeah, thank you. But tell me one of the success stories you've had from one of your clients, like how you got them set up and the ROI they've had, and how long does it actually take to get a good ROI if you're using like LinkedIn as your strategy?
Yeah. So, we always say this, like if you're expecting overnight success on LinkedIn, like you should probably go hire like a lead gen company that can just send out hundreds of thousands of emails, right? It's just not how it is. Like you have to understand going into it that it's a patient play. It's a demand gen play where you're planting seeds over time. Like most people are not going to be ready to talk to the first time they see a post, second time, the third, fifth, however many times. Like it takes at least 3 months, to start building a little bit momentum, right? We typically with our clients, like if they say, well, when am I going to start getting conversations with people? And it's a tough question to answer because a lot of it depends on, well, what assets do you have? Like, what is the call to action that we're putting together for you that you can provide back to people? What's the value in each post that we're sending back to people, right? And if they have good assets and they have a good call to actions, which we can help them with, then they're going to be more likely to start having conversations earlier than later, right? LinkedIn is a tool that I think more people think about from a marketing standpoint and don't think about from an immediate sales standpoint. Like, so if you've talked to somebody and we've brought clients in this way, I can think of 3 clients that we work with where they had a conversation with somebody maybe prior to working with us or while they were working with us, and that person went cold for whatever reason. Like it just didn't work out at the time, right? They consistently were posting content, and we do this, and it happens to us, consistently posting content and just staying top of mind with relevant content. Like it's not like you have to say like it doesn't have to be a hard sales tactic, but stay top of mind. People aren't liking or commenting on that stuff, but they're consuming it, right? So we've heard stories where it was like, hey, after we posted this post last week, we had somebody reach back out to us that we hadn't talked to in 6 months, that had just been seeing our content for the last 6 months, and say, hey, I think it's time to revisit this and have a conversation about what we talked about back then. We get that too. We've landed clients from that. So they're starting to see engagement from the momentum that they're building, and they're starting to land clients that they'd talked to previously as well. So success stories, we've got one client that was very hesitant to work with social media in general. We're just like, I don't like it. I think people that post on social are ridiculous. I think it's all about them, but people keep telling me that I need to do this. So I don't know how to do it. I need you guys to help me with this. So we're helping them with it, right? Whatever. And this is not the norm, right? So keep that in mind. We had a post that we created for him based on an interview, right? And the post went somewhat viral. It had like 50,000 impressions.
Wow.
And he had 4 people then reach back to him after that post went out, asking him to have like, hey, want to talk a little bit more about this? Like, this is something that's top of mind with my business, whatever. So that was like, and that was after I think 2 months. So it was very quick. That is not, again, the norm. Most of the time it takes a few months of consistently building content and patience. You have to be consistent. You have to be patient. You have to continue to put that relevant content out there, but it happens. It's tough to say like, oh, what's the ROI on this? I don't know. Let's revisit it after 3 months. Let's revisit it after 6 months, and we'll see if the impressions are going up and to the right. The impression rate is going up. The impression rate is important. So how many the impressions divided by the likes and the comments, we want to see that number above 3% consistently. Those are great leading indicators. Yeah, great leading indicators that we're headed in the right spot.
Impressions divided by likes and comments has to be above 3%.
3% or north is what we like to see.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to do that after this and look at my own stats. But what you're saying tracks well. Same with me. I don't think LinkedIn is 3 to 6 months, I think, is like the baseline for when you start to see results. But what I like about it is that while you're putting these posts out and these comments, you're also making yourself an authority in your space. So it's not lost. Even if you don't get a client on day one, I'm still probably like a go-to when people want to hire from Africa or know about hiring from Africa, even if they don't want to work with me. Sometimes we get nonprofits reaching out to us. We've had funders reach out to us. We have candidates reach out to us. So they're not actually clients, but they come to me because they're starting to see us in that space. So I think that's the best thing about LinkedIn is it's not just you're going to get sales, but you're also going to build your own personal branding. And that's been really powerful for us. Yeah.
I would add one more thing is that if you're not mentally prepared to do this for 12 months, at least 12 months, right? Consistently produce the content, like because we're helping them grow their network. Like we're building very strategic lists of who they want to go after. We're setting the automations. We're growing the network with the right people. But if mentally they're not prepared, if they're saying let's try this out for 2 months and then we'll revisit it, then I'll tell them like timing's just not right for you guys to do this right now, right? Yeah. Mentally, you got to be ready to do this for 12 months. Like it takes time to do it. I've only been doing it for about 12 months now too. Okay. And we started seeing traction from what I've been doing after about 4 or 5 months. Okay. We were starting to land some conversations.
I think if you want a quick fix in sales, you probably have a few other issues. Right. Like if you're so desperate and you need those results that fast, that's kind of what we learned when we see someone who wants a cold caller and they want 100% of KPIs met within week 1. It's kind of a red flag to us. Like why, there's so many other things that come in that nothing's the miracle worker, but being consistent in one thing for a long time does build like wonderful results.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like it's like I need leads and I need leads today. It's typically another issue there. It's like, or I'm hoping that you're not depending on this as your only channel to bring in outbound.
Exactly.
Right. I'm hoping you're going to conferences. I'm hoping if you need leads that bad that you've got somebody making cold calls, whatever that ends up being. Like, this should be one channel of many that people are using.
Yeah.
And this is the one that's going to sprout and give you like legit conversations over time and continue to feed that pipeline. But it takes time to get it.
It does.
Get it going for sure.
100%. To switch gears. So I'm obviously also biased towards you guys because you hired one of our virtual assistants, who is in Ethiopia. So I'm curious, kind of what made you eventually want to reach out and finally onboard a VA? Because that takes, it's something people debate about for a long time. So what was it that made you want to hire someone? And then what have been some of the results from that? Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that we talk about your content because you and I had met through a few months, about 6 months ago, through a group that we were a part of. And it was a good conversation, right? And it was somewhat timely because we were at the point where we needed to bring somebody in to help out with some of the administrative stuff. Like we were spending too much time running a lot of this tedious like list building, a lot of things that we needed to help. So I talked to you and I'm like, we're probably a few months away from bringing somebody in. And then it was legit something you posted or I saw you post a few times. And I talked to Brandon Keller. I'm like, hey, I think I've got somebody that we should talk to that could be a really good opportunity for a VA. She posted something and it like seems like exactly what we're looking for. So talk to you and they're like, yeah, absolutely. Talk to you. And, it's the craziest thing about like Cradle and what you guys are doing is I was and I've told you this, like a naive, like American, I had no clue. And you're like, I'm going to line up some interviews for you guys. And I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And you lined up interviews and every single person that we talked to was like, awesome. Like probably a better writer than I am, like for sure better writers than I am. Like they were just really, really talented and spoke almost perfect English, which is one of the things I was like, I don't like, again, naive on my part. Right. And this is why like you guys offer such a good business. And we ended up hiring Mahalet and she's been great. She's been any task that we give her, like she crushes. Right. And it's one of those things where we're talking and it's like, hey, we need to get this done. And it's like, oh, can Mahalet do this for us? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's ask. And next thing I hear back, because Kelly runs the relationship with Mahalet. And he's like, yeah, she did it. She crushed it easy. Like, so we're like, we started like kind of down here with her with like, let's see what she can handle and whatever. And everything that we've given to her, she's been awesome. List building, setting up automations and integration. Like she's been really, really good. So props to her and props to you and your content for getting me to raise my hand and say, let's talk.
Awesome. No, I really love that. And I love that you followed up with me because you saw my LinkedIn, which proves the point that what you're doing, helping people with LinkedIn actually makes a lot of sense. So, that's so cool. Well, I could continue to talk to you and about LinkedIn for forever, but I'm going to end it here. And I just want to know, where can people find you? So for CEOs and founders who are like, I know I want to be on LinkedIn, I need help with this. How do they connect with you and get started?
Yeah. So funny enough, my LinkedIn profile is a great way to start. There's a link to my calendar on my profile. So you can go to my LinkedIn profile. You can go to our website, outworks.io, or you can just email me. My email address is jared@outworks.io. Any one of those three ways, I am easily accessible.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jared. It was great talking to you.